Yeah, my skin tan, my fade low, my eyes green for those pesos. Each, I don't see huesos. I'm Pitbull and I'm Dago, with the hoes like Don Francisco. I'm Live-O and I'm Big Pun, all in the pot, little sazon. Mix it all around, and bodegas, what you got? Spanish all of my plate.
When people think of a Mexican-American directing a film, the movies that will most likely come to mind are movies like American Me, which is directed by Edward James Olmos and is centered around Los Angeles Mexican street gangs, or La Bamba, directed by Luis Valdez and is the true story of the life of Mexican-American musician Richie Valens. These are just a couple of examples of the classics from the 80s and the 90s. Then you have films that were directed by Mexican-Americans in the 2000s that had a little bit of a more comedic feel to them, like A Day Without a Mexican, directed by Sergio Araújo, and Machete, a film directed by Robert Rodriguez. Just looking at the posters for these films, you can easily tell or assume that they were directed by a Mexican American. Now imagine this, a world where Mexican Americans do not have to direct films about their culture in order to be recognized in Hollywood. A world where Mexican American directors could go their whole career without ever making a film about their culture and still be successful in Hollywood. Now, here's a little experiment. I'm going to show you two different movie trailers, and you are going to decide which one was directed by a Mexican American and which one wasn't.
We always thought alien life would come from the stars, but it came from deep beneath the sea, a portal between dimensions in the Pacific Ocean. Something out there had discovered us. They counted on the humans to hide, to give up, to fail.
Initiating launch operations. Gypsy danger.
They never considered our ability to stand, to endure, that we would rise to the challenge.
Pilots, ready to connect.
Let's go fishing.
2 pilots engaged in neural bridge. Ready to activate the Jaeger in 3, 2, 1.
At the edge of our hope, at the end of our time, we have chosen to believe in each other. Today we face the monsters that are at our door. Today we are canceling the apocalypse.
In the heart of the city, in the soul of its people, there is a power stronger than law.
I have never been so proud in my life as today.
A force deeper than friendship.
I don't forget where I come from or who I am. That's what keeps me going every day.
A passion greater than life.
Who are you fighting? You're just fighting yourself!
Boy, those are my carnales, they're my family.
I'm your family!
It's the tie that bound them together in their youth.
Let me see the color inside you.
And now will drive them apart. This is the epic story of three brothers.
Run, carnal, run! Vatos locos forever, carnal. Let's go!
One searched for truth in the law.
You kill your own people! No!
One expressed his passion through art.
You'll be completely sold out by the end of the night.
And one found power in prison.
No one can stop us. You used me. What about all the times you used me?
From the director of An Officer and a Gentleman and the producer of La Bamba. Blood in, blood out.
That's a bond you can never break.
After watching both trailers, which film do you think was directed by a Mexican American? I'll give you some time to decide. Got your answer yet? If you chose Blood In, Blood Out, then you are 100% completely wrong. The answer is Pacific Rim. Believe it or not, Pacific Rim was directed by a Mexican American named Guillermo del Toro. And what's even harder to believe is that Blood In, Blood Out was directed by, excuse my terminology, but a white guy. Yep, the cult classic film about Vatos Locos was directed by Taylor Hackford, a man born and raised in the U.S. by two fully white parents. You're probably asking, so what does all of this prove? Well, it proves that Mexican American directors can break away from the stereotype that says they have to make films that are centered around their culture, much like Guillermo del Toro did with Pacific Rim. If you take a look at all the films that are currently in theaters, not one single one of them is directed by a Mexican American. Does this mean Mexican Americans are not capable of directing big blockbuster hits? Obviously not, because look at Pacific Rim. We know that it is possible for Mexican Americans to make big Hollywood films that have nothing to do with their cultures. But what I notice is that none of them start out like that. Every single Mexican American film director that has made successful Hollywood films that do not involve their culture has at least started out by making Mexican culture-based films or even films completely in Spanish. What I have found is that this is not something that occurs with all directors who are not fully American. Look at director James Wan, for example. He was born in Malaysia and grew up in Australia, but he has directed some of the most popular modern-day horror genre movies, like Saw 1, 2, and 3, Dead Silence Part 1 and 2, Insidious Part 1 and 2, The Conjuring, and he's even directed Furious 7, which is the most popular movie in American theaters right now. Not only has James Wan directed all of these successful Hollywood films, but not a single one of them have had anything to do with his Malaysian or Australian culture. He has managed to pull it off. So why can't Mexican Americans? I believe we can. We have the ability to break the stereotype and not have to make Mexican culture-based films in order to be recognized. So if you're a Mexican American that is interested in making films, go out there and do it. And don't be afraid to make films that have nothing to do with your culture. Direct with the movies that you want to make and make the movies that interest you. Break the stereotype.
That tin flag, that's all me. That tin flag, that's all me. That tin flag, that's all me.